There is a shark below the surface off South Africa. A great white, 3 meters of the ocean's most famous killing machine, and it is running for its life. Above it, 2 shapes, taller, faster, black and white. The great white bolts for open water and does not come back. For months, the coastline stays empty of them, because something arrived that the apex predator of that coast is afraid of. Not a bigger shark, not a storm, a killer whale. This is the animal that sits at the top of every ocean on Earth. No natural predator, no rival, a throne with one occupant. Tonight, we ask a simple question: who sat on it before? Here is what most people never hear about the killer whale. It rules every sea from the poles to the equator, and it is not even a whale. And its reign is young. Its dynasty is a newcomer, built on the ruins of a fallen empire. This codex opens on a throne, and a question the documentaries skip. Long before any killer whale existed, this exact seat, the apex of the open ocean, belonged to something else, to true monsters, something that would have swallowed a modern orca whole. This, then, is the story of who held the ocean before the orca, and of the real ancestor that put a dolphin on a throne built for giants. First, understand what kind of predator we are talking about, because the reason this story surprises people is that the orca feels eternal, like it has always been in charge. It hunts in every ocean, in family pods that move with the chilling precision of a special forces unit. It takes seals, sharks, and the largest animals that have ever lived, blue whales. A pod off Western Australia was documented running down and killing an adult blue whale, the biggest creature Earth has ever produced. Nothing else does that. Off South Africa, 2 males the researchers named Port and Starboard changed an entire coastline. They learned to flip great white sharks upside down, hold them still, and take just the liver, a clean cut, done in minutes. After they arrived, the great whites of False Bay largely vanished. And since 2020, off Spain and Portugal, orcas have been striking the rudders of sailing boats. Hundreds of encounters, some sinking the vessel. Scientists still argue about why. Play, a fad, a game passed between them. Whatever it is, it spreads. Because the other thing about this animal is that it is not just strong, it is smart, and it teaches. In Antarctica, pods line up shoulder to shoulder and beat their tails in unison to wash a seal off an ice floe, a wave made on purpose, engineered by a group. In Norway, they herd whole schools of herring into a tight spinning ball and stun them with slaps of the tail, then pick off the stunned fish one by one. Different pods hunt different prey with different methods, and they hand those methods down. A calf learns the family technique and uses it for the rest of its life. We have a word for behavior passed down like that, from one generation to the next: culture. And then there is the strangest part of all, the part that has pulled millions of people to this animal lately. A predator that dismantles great whites and drowns blue whales has, in all of recorded history, never killed a human being in the wild, not once. Divers have swum beside them. Swimmers have surfaced in the middle of a hunting pod and been left completely alone. An animal built to end almost anything in the ocean looks at us, decides we are not prey, and moves on. That is not weakness. That is a predator so completely in control that it chooses. Put all of that together, the reach, the intelligence, the inherited traditions, the restraint, the fact that nothing in the water hunts it back, and you get a predator with no equal and no fear. And when something is this dominant, we assume it is ancient, that it clawed its way to the top over tens of millions of years and simply never let go. It feels like a king that has always been on the throne. That assumption is exactly where the story breaks. But there is a problem with calling it a killer whale. It isn't a whale. The orca is a dolphin, the largest member of the oceanic dolphin family, Delphinidae, the same family as the bottlenose you have watched do tricks at an aquarium. Bigger, darker, and far more dangerous, but the same branch of the tree. Look at the skull, and it is obvious. The rounded head, the cone teeth gripping instead of slicing, the body plan of a dolphin scaled up to 9 meters. Its closest living relatives are not the great whales at all. They are dolphins, the pilot whale, the false killer whale, animals most people have never heard of. Most orca videos treat killer whale as a whale fact and move on. It is the opposite. The name is a translation accident. Old Spanish whalers called it asesina de ballenas, the whale killer, the thing they watched hunt down whales. Somewhere in the retelling, we swapped the words and got killer whale. The animal that hunts whales is a dolphin, and it always was. And it behaves like one, right down to something almost human. Orca pods are led by the oldest females, grandmothers who hold the knowledge of where to hunt in a hard year. The killer whale is one of the very few animals on Earth, alongside us and a couple of other whales, in which females live for decades after they stop breeding, staying on to guide the family. That is dolphin social life, not the life of a great whale. Complex, matriarchal, built on memory. It is the mind behind the muscle. And here is why that matters for our throne. The true whales are old. Their lineage runs back more than 40 million years, to a time when the ancestors of whales still walked on land. The oceanic dolphins are the newcomers. When Michael McGowan mapped their family tree in a 2011 study of dolphin evolution, the whole group came out young, one of the newest branches in the whole sea. The animal that rules the ocean today comes from one of its latest arrivals. The king is new, which means before the dolphins existed, this throne belonged to somebody else. And then it gets worse for the idea of an eternal orca. Rewind about 10 million years, to the late Miocene. The same job, apex predator of the open ocean, is filled, but not by anything like a dolphin. It belonged to a monster called Livyatan melvilli, a relative of the sperm whale, but built to kill. A blunt, massive head, roughly 3 meters long, and teeth up to 36 centimeters long, set in both the upper and lower jaws. That last detail matters. A modern sperm whale has teeth only in its lower jaw and swallows squid whole. Livyatan was the opposite. A full set of conical spikes, top and bottom, made to grip and crush. A grappler, a bone crusher. Olivier Lambert and his team, describing it in the journal Nature in 2010, called those the largest biting teeth of any animal ever found, longer than the teeth of Tyrannosaurus. This was a whale that hunted other whales, and it was the predator that late Miocene ocean answered to, not the orca. The orca did not exist yet, and Livyatan did not hold that ocean alone. It shared it with megalodon, Otodus megalodon, the largest shark that ever lived, a fish the length of a bus whose jaw was a living guillotine, rows of serrated teeth that could shear straight through the side of a whale. Two giants, splitting the throne between them millions of years before the first killer whale drew breath. A modern orca dropped into that sea would not have been the apex predator. It would have been prey. And that Miocene ocean was rich enough to feed them. It was warm, and it was crowded, full of medium-sized baleen whales, the perfect prey for a hunter with 36-centimeter teeth or a bite that could snap bone. The giants were not freak monsters clinging on at the edges. They were the settled, top-tier rulers of a fat, productive sea, and they had held that position for a very long time. Nothing about their reign looked temporary. It looked exactly the way the orca's reign looks to us today, permanent. And here is the line every lazy version of this story gets wrong, so hold on to it. Neither of these giants is the orca's ancestor. Livyatan is a sperm whale cousin, a completely different branch of the mammal tree. Megalodon is a shark, not a mammal at all. The killer whale did not descend from either one. They are not its grandparents. They are the predators that held its throne before it, the kings it replaced, not the bloodline it came from. Keep those two ideas apart, and the whole story clicks into place. Then the sea changed. The mightiest jaws in the world are no defense against an ocean that stops feeding you. As the Miocene cooled and the great prey thinned, the giants went, not together, but one after another. Livyatan disappeared first. Megalodon held on a few million years longer. Then it too was gone. The throne they had ruled for millions of years fell empty. And in the ocean, an empty throne never stays empty for long. Here is the part that ties it together. As the giants faded, a new kind of hunter was already rising in the same cooling seas. Fast, social, pack-based, the oceanic dolphins. That same young dolphin family, the newest branch in the whole sea, is the one that produced the ocean's next ruler. That dolphin family exploded into the world's oceans in that same late Miocene window, around 11 million years ago, a burst of new species in a short stretch of time, right as the throne was coming open. They were quick, they were coordinated, they hunted in packs, and a pack can bring down prey no single animal could. It was exactly the toolkit for taking a seat that a lone giant had just vacated. The giants ruled by size. The dolphins would rule by numbers and by brains. And we can name the animal that got there first. In the Pliocene rocks of Tuscany, in Italy, lies a fossil described by the naturalist Giovanni Capellini in 1883, Orcinus citoniensis, 3 to 4 meters long, a smaller pack hunter, and crucially, the very same genus as the modern killer whale. Orcinus, not a cousin, not a look-alike, the same genus. It is the oldest known orca on record, the first real step of a dolphin lineage onto a throne that giants had left behind. Think about how different that is from the thing it was replacing, a single Livyatan ruled by sheer size. But a pod of 3-meter pack hunters does not need to be a giant. It needs to be coordinated. And Orcinus citoniensis was already living in groups, already hunting fish and squid, and probably small marine mammals together. That is the whole trick of the takeover. The giants bet everything on size. The dolphins bet on cooperation and intelligence, and in a cooling, changing ocean, that bet won. A team of clever hunters outlasted the lone titans. From something like that animal, the killer whale we know grew larger, smarter, and more complete in its command of the sea. And it happened fast. When scientists led by Andrew Foote sequenced killer whale genomes, they found the modern types, the different hunting cultures, splitting apart within just the last few 100,000 years. A blink in geological time. The orca's reign did not just begin recently. In a real sense, it is still beginning. Return, now, to where we started. To the killer whale at the top of every ocean. To the great white, running for open water and not coming back. To the predator, with no rival and no fear. It is not the oldest king of the sea. It is the newest. The apex seat it occupies is far, far older than the orca itself. It was held by Livyatan, by megalodon, by monsters that could have swallowed a killer whale whole and still had room. Those giants died. The throne stood empty for millions of years. And then, out of the youngest family in the ocean, a fast pack-hunting dolphin rose into it. Not by inheriting a crown, not by descending from the old kings, by walking into the throne room after they were already gone. That is what Orcinus citoniensis really is. Not a footnote in a fossil catalog. It is the moment a dolphin first sat down on a throne built for giants. The killer whale rules the ocean today, the way a new dynasty rules an old country, recently and completely, on ground that still remembers other kings. And this is why the difference between a throne and a bloodline matters so much. The Orca did not defeat Livyatan. It never met megalodon. It did not out-evolve them or hunt them down. It simply arrived, generations later, from a completely different branch of life, and found the highest seat in the ocean standing empty, and took it. The crown is old. The head wearing it is new. Every time you see a killer whale ruling the water like it was born to it, you are watching the most recent chapter of a story that is far older than the animal itself. It reframes everything we find so impressive about the animal. The intelligence, the culture, the pods that empty a coastline, the restraint that spares a swimmer, all of it belongs to a ruler that is, in the long history of the sea, brand new. The killer whale is not the ancient, unchallenged god of the ocean the documentaries make it out to be. It is a young dynasty still settling into a very old palace. And going by those genomes splitting apart in the last few 100,000 years, it is still changing, still spreading, still writing its opening pages. The great white was right to run, but the animal it fears is not an ancient monster that has always ruled the sea. It is the ocean's youngest ruler, sitting on the oldest throne there is. The sea has crowned giants before. This time, it crowned a dolphin. We kept one of those giants in shadow tonight, named it once, then let it sink back into the dark. The one with the largest killing teeth the ocean has ever grown. Not a shark, a whale, a sperm whale built the wrong way round. Not to dive quietly and swallow squid in the deep, but to rise up and hunt other whales at the surface. Its skull alone is longer than a person is tall, and every tooth in it was made for one job. It held this exact throne for millions of years before any dolphin rose to take it. And unlike a lot of what you have heard about sea monsters, this one is real, sitting in a museum, measured and described. What does a predator have to be to make the killer whale, the animal a great white flees, look like the newcomer it really is? Tethys Codex.